What's going on, everybody? Weston Hodkiewicz here from PackersNews.com, joined alongside Packers beat reporter Pete Dougherty. And Pete, we finally reached the end. Wide receivers and tight ends. We've chronicled all this for the past week. Looking at that tight end group, though, the Packers haven't drafted a tight end in the first round since 2000 with Bubba Franks. But you look at Tyler Eifert right now from Notre Dame. This is a guy that I know really impressed at the Combine, impressed at all the workouts. If he would fall down in that range, would that be a guy that might make the Packers think about, testing that little streak they have going on?
I think that is a guy they'd look at real hard. And people might say that it's not an immediate need because they do have Finley's got 1 year left on his contract, but he only has 1 year left on his contract. And it might be a sort of a Jordy Nelson type pick where they didn't need a receiver for that season, but they knew they were going to need one pretty soon down the road. And this guy, almost to a man, if I talked to 6 scouts about him, they were all really impressed with this guy. I think he's got some real playmaking potential. A couple of guys thought he's better than the 2 tight ends in New England, for instance, more athletic for sure. Right. And Mike McCarthy loves tight ends, and he finds ways to use them. So even if he and Finley were on the team together, I'm sure McCarthy would find ways to do a lot of 2 tight end stuff, kind of like what the Packers did back when they had Keith Jackson and Mark Shimura together. That can be a real potent offense. New England is showing that also. So yeah, if he's at 26, which he may or may not make it there, it's starting to get an inkling that maybe he doesn't make it there. But if he does, he gets a hard look, I'm sure.
When you and me were at the Combine, Pete, people were talking about him and Zach Ertz from Stanford as being, 1-2, 1A, 1B. He's kind of separated himself now as being the top prospect in that class.
Yeah, it sounds like he's a little more athletic. He's a better player in the passing game, and it's a passing league, and playmakers are at the premium. Ertz is a little more complete, more pass-oriented, but better blocker. But for teams looking to add some juice to their offense, Eifert is the guy.
Wide receivers, this is an interesting spot for the Packers because if you look at their drafts, they obviously hit on Randall Cobb, but I think if you look back through the last 4 drafts, they haven't taken a wide receiver. This year, it looks like they are going to need to take one, at least somewhere in there. You lose Greg Jennings. They only have 3 guys coming back, and then you have a lot of question marks with Jeremy Ross, Jared Boyk in there as undrafted guys behind them. Is there anybody that intrigues you there for the Packers that might be someone that they could look at and maybe try to bring in and cultivate as that next, James Jones or Randall Cobb?
Yeah, you get in those middle rounds, and it's really hard to sort guys out. There's one guy who I don't think they would take a receiver in the first round, but Robert Woods from USC is going to go probably late 1 or really early 2, and he's kind of an intriguing guy, really good run after the catch guy, a bigger guy, which they don't have a big, they're not big at receiver right now, especially, Cobb is a small guy, so they might prefer to have a bigger guy to go with them. And he was a playmaker for USC. Maybe a guy if they trade back in the first round or trade back into the early second round, maybe a guy that they would look at there.
Tavon Austin, I just want to ask you about him quick. 5'8". Some people have had him creeping up into the top 10 of the draft. Is he too small, do you think, or is he a guy that could?
Doesn't sound like it. Guys love him. They've found a way to use guys like that. I've asked guys, comparing him to Deshaun Jackson. They think this guy, in some ways, is better. A little thicker than Jackson. Seems to be a little more ruggedly built. Jackson might be a little faster straight on, but this guy made yardage in every way you can think of. And these dynamic guys, offensive coaches will find a way to use them and get them the ball in space and let them run wild.
Well, Pete, you passed your test. We finally reached the end here. We appreciate you stepping by here for the past week and helping us out with this report. Be sure to check out Pete's story in today's Green Bay Press-Gazette looking at both the wide receiver and tight end class. And also check back as we have Pete's pick also coming up where he'll tell you who he thinks the Packers will be taking in the first round. But for Pete, I'm Wes. We'll see you later.